everyone. Welcome to Streams of Collective Consciousness. I'm super excited for you to jump on. I have forgot to put my mic on. Hello, welcome. And get this mic on here. Nice, we're good to go. I bet you can hear me better. So welcome to Streams of Collective Consciousness. This is a bi-weekly news live stream where I talk about sustainable fashion, talk about environmentalism and social justice. Happens Tuesdays and Thursdays from 4 p.m. Central Time to 6:30 Central Time. So about 2.5 hours. Yes. Let me check the audio really quick. See how everything is going. Let's see. Hello, there's 7 people in here. Jesus. Hi everyone, fixing the audio. I'm so excited to get into it. Today is actually the first time I have good Wi-Fi. The AT&T guy just left, so I'm super excited to talk about sustainable fashion, environmentalism, all the things. So how it works, let me move over to the Canva. So here is the cute little art that I made. I always use this Canva deck, so feel free to take a look at this in my description. It's a link, it's free, it's accessible. So even if you like jump off later on and still want to know what happened for this week or last week, just jump on the Canva deck and look through. And if you're watching the recorded version, you can always skip through. These live streams are always saved on my YouTube. And I'm also on Twitch. It's a multi-stream, so excited. So how it works is it's structured. It's very structured. I'm not gonna lie, I'm type A. I'm like very straightforward, so you'll always know what I'm doing. So basically I start off with sustainable fashion news. That's what I focus on. That's like the bread and butter of the live stream. Then I try to take a break at 5, but I always forget. And then I then talk about social issues, any environmental things happening, any positive news I cover on later in the half section in the live stream. I do want to watch more fashion shows around 6. I always watch fashion shows, but I always get copyright striked on YouTube. So I'm thinking about like doing like a 12-hour live stream on Twitch where I watch all the fashion shows, but that's like an extreme thing. But I do want to watch fashion shows. It's just the copyright music on there is always just so bad for the recorded version, and then I get copyright striked, and then no one else watches my live streams afterwards. So yeah, I'm still trying to figure out how to do that. And then I do want to get into gaming. I honestly feel like I'm not going to end off with gaming today. I'm probably going to do more like gaming sessions. So I'm thinking Wednesdays and Sundays from like 6:30ish or 7:30ish until like 10ish I game. So that's going to be super fun. And then yeah, here's the schedule. Oh my god, I drank too much coffee. I'm like swallowing all the coffee that's like in my mouth. But if you guys ever want me to talk about anything, community submission form is in my description. Anything sustainable fashion, environmentalism, social justice, whatever you want me to talk about, fill this out and I will take a look at it and cover it in the next live stream that is about news. So next Tuesday, I'll most likely cover it if you do send me something. I don't really look at links in the chat or anything like that. I like to think about whether or not this would be a good idea for me to talk about. And then I always start with personal news. So I'm actually in a really good mood today. I think one of the biggest things I've struggled with live streaming, honestly, has been the connectivity issues. So I've had very crappy Xfinity basic essentials for a whole long while living in a basement. And if you know anything about Xfinity basic essentials or like basic internet, it's just like very basic. It's very basic. Like it doesn't reach any sort of location in the basement. And so my Wi-Fi was always very trashy. Connectivity was always something that was making me really anxious when jumping on because I have no control whether or not it's going to work. So now today, I for sure know I got good Wi-Fi. I got AT&T. And I can afford it because I do spend a lot of money on the weirdest things. I don't know if you guys know, but I'm like someone that cares about sustainability, about consumption, but I'm also someone that buys a lot of knickknacks, and I have knickknacks all across my room, like even my window. That's a perfect example. I'm kind of lopsided today, but if you look at my window, Why does it look like I'm on a downhill slant? But if you look at my window, there's a lot of knickknacks, and that's just kind of a bad habit I have with overconsumption. Don't look at my frizzy hair. But yeah, I finally have good connectivity. I think it's going to actually be a game changer in the education and the news that I provide in this live stream. So, like, if you care about this live stream, if you care about learning about sustainable fashion, environmentalism, all these things, like, having good Wi-Fi for me is like gonna work wonders for you to learn and like stay updated and to jump on and be entertained. Hopefully I'm entertaining now that I'm like less stressed and less annoyed with the internet. I'm also very excited to have a PC. I don't know how to work a PC, but I am learning slowly. For sure, Z's. I don't know. I'm for sure learning how to use the PC. But yeah, that's just all work in progress. It's a work in progress doing stuff online. I started off not really knowing how to like live stream or anything. So this is just a huge improvement. I'm really excited where it can take things. I've been live streaming for like 4 or 5 months. I started in January. Yeah, I started in January on YouTube. So it's been January, February, March, April, May, June. So 6 months. It took me 6 months to improve my setup. I've been changing the lighting, the audio. I've been changing the internet stuff. Maybe you don't care, but for me, like, it really is a huge improvement. I never really thought social media could be something I could do, or live streaming could be something I could do. I'm still incredibly new to this, but I think there is more need for more people like me to be online talking about like sustainable fashion or talking about the latest eco news, talking about social issues, and like making these things a bit more humanized, because sometimes you can fall into like abstract theories or concepts, or just like make all these things out as like more scary than they are. And then just having someone like talk about it, it's like, okay, like maybe we can like kind of analyze and feel these things in a more sustainable way, versus feeling like, oh my god, like we can't do anything, or like it's all doom and gloom sort of thing. So yeah, I just wanna talk about the news and like make it feel a bit better for everyone, even though we're kind of in the hellscape. But we can be in the hellscape together. But yeah, the TNT guy, not to like feel like this is sponsored or anything, I would never take corporate money, but he was so nice. He was so nice, and he was so speedy. It was like the 4-hour process though. Like it takes 4 hours to like connect the internet, which I didn't realize. So I was just like in the house waiting because I'm anxious, and I'm like, okay, does he need anything? And I was just in the kitchen. I don't know if you guys ever experienced this, but like when someone is doing something to your house, I am always like, what am I supposed to be doing right now? Am I supposed to follow them around? Am I supposed to be in the kitchen? Like they're installing the wires. Like what's my role here, you know? So I was just in the kitchen on my laptop, and at the end he was like, I like this house. I like the vibe. I'm like, cool. It's like, you're chill. I'm like, yeah, thanks. He was very extroverted, and I was like, not really just saying much. So I just didn't want to annoy him. I just wanted the internet so bad. I was like, let me shut up and like not say much. But yeah, he was very nice, very helpful. So I got that all set up. But now getting into the news, which I'm super excited about. There's a lot of things happening, and Shein never fails to disappoint. So there has actually been a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes with their IPOs, and they've been getting into new markets like Japan, but also they've been having some contentious issues with their protection laws. I'm not a lawyer, so I'm going to read this article and try to understand it with you, because I sometimes don't know what the hell is happening or what Shein is doing or what is being said in these articles. But basically, apparently the European Commission is asking the fast fashion giant to address a lot of issues, including fake discounts and pressure selling. So basically here in this article, it explains that the fast fashion company must respond to the Commission's findings within 1 month, and to propose commitments for how it will address the identified issues. And if Shein doesn't address these issues, then Belgium, France, Ireland, and the Netherlands can take enforcements to ensure compliance, which could include fines. Ooh, hit them with the fines. So I don't know what the issues are per se. I don't know what they investigated, but the European Commission found the tea, apparently. Oh, I'm a poet. Okay, so it says here from Fashion Dive that they must provide internal documents and detailed information about the potential sale of illegal products on its platform. Dang. Illegal products? What would that be? Also, the commission wants to mitigate risks relating to consumer protection, like user data, as well as public health and users' well-being. Interesting. I've not heard of this before. It's interesting. I haven't seen this on social media or on TikTok or anything. Fashion Dive, if you're not familiar, is such a great source for information. I learn a lot from them. And they don't have a paywall. I think within fashion journalism and fashion news in general, it's really hard to find reliable, like trustworthy news. So highly recommend Fashion Dive. I've really seen really great articles written by them, and they like link everything, which I really respect, because sometimes I'm like, where are they getting these facts from? But they're always really good with that. But yeah, Shein is in trouble. Apparently, they're saying they're planning to invest more than $15 million in its product safety tests and compliance protocols. I don't know what that means. But apparently, Shein completed more than 2 million product safety tests through third-party testing agencies. Guys, if I'm yelling in your ear, you should turn down the TV, because I cannot change the mic sound on my thing. And I kind of don't want to. I kind of feel like yelling today. Kind of feel like yelling about Shein and how much I hate them today. Okay, so yeah, they're not really specifying in the article what is happening. So let's go back to the original one and see what are these protection laws. Their articles do tend to be on the shorter side, but they are good at giving like the general idea. So yeah, the European Commission, European Commission is basically asking Shein to provide internal documents about its recommender system and the risks linked to the potential sale of illegal products. Wait, didn't we already read that? Oh, my bad. Okay, so the Consumer Protection Law investigation is complementary to a separate European Commission investigation announced last year to examine Shein's compliance with the Digital Services Act. And the investigation also includes Shein's fast fashion competitor Temu, and resulted in 2 separate probes into Temu. So apparently Shein is apparently facing regulatory challenges from various countries, including US, Vietnam, and Italy. Can we just boycott Shein? The more I read, the more I'm disappointed. See, I don't know half of the things that they're doing, but I know that they're not up to no good. Dang. So Shein and Temu have until July 12th to respond. Dang. What are these illegal products? That's kind of what I'm curious about. What are they selling on there? And they have to guarantee that users have safe, predictable, and trustworthy online environment. Have a safe, predictable, and trustworthy online environment as the laws require. Is it because of their gamification? I did notice that Shein has this like gaming vibe to it. Like, oh, if you spend this thing, you get $5 off. This thing right here. Is this it? And then you get flooded with ads. And then I have to click out of see this thing. I have no idea why they do this. It's just I'm clicking out of things all the freaking time. I'm like, let me just look at the things. I think this is what is being warned as like a mental health warning thing. Like, here's a special deal. I don't want a special deal, sir. And then this thing pops up. How many things do we have to click? This 90% off. Dang. Why even sell it full price if it's just 90% off? Like, why all these discounts? See, when I see 90% off or 50% off, I'm just like, how many people did they exploit? Like, how many people literally were dying over here out of exhaustion, and we're sweating in their garment factory for this stuff. Like, we don't need this. You don't need this. But yeah, so Shein and Temu are now designated as very large online platforms by the commission, and they have more than 45 million users per month. Dang. Imagine 45 million people boycotting both Temu and Shein. Fast fashion would not survive, man. So that is what's happening with Shein and Temu. They're just under a lot of scrutiny, a lot of demand for more protection of their users, more transparency of their systems, more traceability of their trades, compliance by design, ensure that customers are having a good experience online, and that they're not selling quote unquote anything illegal. I do still wonder what is illegal products to be sold on Shein. And so yeah, Shein is working on this apparently, and the spokesperson actually communicated with Fashion Dive, and they said, "We share the Commission's goal of ensuring that consumers in the EU can shop online with peace of mind, and we will continue working closely with the Commission to ensure our compliance with the Digital Services Act." And it says, "We also like to reiterate that we're fully committed to complying with all applicable laws and regulations in the markets where we operate," says a Temu spokesperson. So I do love this regulatory and legal challenges. I think we need more of this all across the board for the fashion industry. I think the industry is highly unregulated, and for the commission to be like, yo, what are you actually doing and can you prove it, I think is actually going to be an example for all other brands, like the malls, the brands in the malls, like all those fast fashion brands that are not at the same level as Shein and Temu. Hopefully they are aware of what's happening to these two major ones and being like, okay, like maybe I should do better because the commission's on their ASS. But yeah, they even mentioned here that Shein has been accused of underpaying its factory workers and is also facing several copyright infringement complaints, won a class action lawsuit, and another action brought under federal racketeering laws. Yes, yeah, Shein is always in a lot of laws. I do wonder what it's like to be a Shein lawyer. Can you imagine being a Shein lawyer? Sir, we did not copy this design. Sir, we are not violating the rights of garment workers. Sir, we swear we did an audit. Sir, we are making sure that there is transparency in our supply chain. Sir, we are for sure ethical. Yeah, it would be, I would be brain broken after a year of working there. Even within a week, I'd probably quit. Who wants to be a lawyer for Shein? That's another good question. I would love to interview a Shein lawyer or a lawyer that represents Shein, because the audacity that you have to be justifying their actions is the next level of like, I want my money and I don't care how I get there to get my money. Yeah, but there's also a lot of other news about Shein, which is not surprising. And then I'll move on to like actual sustainable fashion stuff, because I just like to trash on Shein. I also like to track them because, like I said, they're like the worst players in the industry, and we need to know what's happening to them. And if we don't know what's happening to them, we're just, I guess, mindless consumers, or that's what they call us, mindless consumers, if we don't know what's happening. So you're welcome, I guess. Okay, this is a heavy website. Okay, so it says exclusive, Shein working towards Hong Kong listing after London IPO stalls. Now, talking about stalling, is my Wi-Fi glitching out, or is it this random website? No, AT&T, don't fail me. AT&T, don't fail me. Jen says hi. Jen the Alchemist. I love the name. Hello. I haven't seen you in the chat before, so thank you for commenting. Appreciate you being here. But going back to this crappy website that's glitching me out. Oh, I hate crappy websites. Blah, 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 blah. So apparently Shein is going to Hong Kong and getting an IPO there. Then plans to go public in Hong Kong within this year. So Shein plans to change venue in absence of Chinese regulatory nod. Don't know what that means. I'm not that smart. Well, Chinese regulatory node. As a basic consumer, I have no idea what they're talking about. I'm not gonna lie. Let's just read this part and like try to understand what the heck is going on. I'm not gonna pretend that I have any idea what this is. No, wait. My Wi-Fi message. YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. AT&T, what are you doing? Okay. Maybe it's this website. It's juicing it up. It's juicing up my usage. Okay. Okay, let's speed run through this. So Shein is working towards a listing in Hong Kong after the online fast fashion. Okay, I'm kidding. Shein is working towards a listing in Hong Kong after the online fast fashion retailer proposed initial listings, public offering listing, initial public offering IPO in London, which failed, and now they're going elsewhere. So the China-founded company aims to file a draft prospectus within Hong Kong Stock Exchange and the no. Gosh, this website sucks. I'm trying to read here. Okay, so the China company, dang, and now I have to start all over again. See, this is so annoying. This is journalism and consumerism all in one moment of trying to learn. So the China-founded company aims to file a draft prospectus with Hong Kong Stock Exchange in the upcoming weeks. So they are planning to go public in the Asian financial hub within the year. Uh-oh, I am not excited about this. Why Hong Kong? Why Hong Kong? Why Hong Kong? YouTube, give me the answers. I don't pretend to be smart. I look for the answers. Hence, studios. Okay. Shein is working towards a listing in Hong Kong. Tell me why. Oh, it's been happening. Okay, CNBC, I see you. They're finally talking about something. Procrastination. No. No, not ads. Skip.
To list in Hong Kong, not London this year, with the company aiming to file a prospectus in coming weeks. That's according to Reuters, which says the fast fashion giant is eyeing up the listing in Asia after its proposed London IPO failed to secure the approval of Chinese regulators. CNBC has approached Shein for comment. I've got to say, I was pondering this the other day in terms of why would you list on the London market? So much scrutiny now as to where it makes its products and whether that should be attracting more tariffs and whether these very cheap products should be let into developed markets, upending local commerce. And that, of course, has come through from the Trump tariff threat. The regulator domestically is the CSRC. I do wonder whether they are somewhat of a guardian angel here, protecting Shein from being exposed to some of the scrutiny of international markets. So perhaps protecting face and also fortune for the company, face in the sense that maybe it wouldn't get the same level of attention that it had desired originally when it was going after a London listing. Don't forget that was scaled down from a US listing previously back to a Hong Kong listing where, let's face it, there are fewer questions asked. I've been to press conferences in Hong Kong. You often have a speech. You don't necessarily have the Q&A from journalists. And in the backdrop, you've now got a company that is trying to put production facilities in or warehouses, at least in Vietnam. And I think there's going to have to be more of that to protect the business model in future. So you would want to have fewer questions, is my point, if you were Shein from here to protect yourself.
I think you've also got the pull of a Hong Kong listing. When you look at cattle and the listing earlier this month and how well it went, it was the biggest global IPO in 2025. There's a lot of investors saying Hong Kong is going to be the hottest story from a market perspective this year. We just had a guest yesterday touting the opportunity in Hong Kong here. So yes, I mean, Shein has, you could say, scaled back. They've transitioned their goal away from New York, now seems to be away from London to Hong Kong. But is it going to end up being a positive for them that they end up listing in Hong Kong, given the momentum behind the Hong Kong market here?
It's certainly a win for Hong Kong, I would say. But the problem, I think, with the flip side here for the London market is that Shein was meant to be almost reset the idea that technology companies could list in the UK on the back of Deliveroo, which was somewhat of a flop, or the pushback from managers fund managers about the ESG side of the business. I think this time round that you've got now issues that we haven't got a big name like that coming to market. It was almost going to break the seal.
Yeah, Shein and Deliveroo are such different beasts, though, and the reason that Shein won't be listing in London, if this story proves to be true, so different. I mean, it's obviously a very geopolitically sensitive story here, but certainly an interesting one.
Very interesting indeed. It's caught in the attention of major news places, which is good news to keep us informed. Because it's really rare to see fashion be covered in news sites, and it's really needed to understand what is happening. I do wonder whether there is more things that we can watch based on this, if we can just look at the keywords. Look at the keywords. Routers.
A case like this will...
No capitalism today. Blah, blah, blah. Ads, 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 ads. Blah, blah, blah.
Shein is working towards a listing in Hong Kong after failing to get approval from Chinese regulators for its proposed IPO in London. That's according to 3 sources. One source said the China-founded online retailer aims to file a draft prospectus with Hong Kong's stock exchange in the coming weeks. The others added Shein plans to go public within the year. In March, Shein secured approval from British regulators for its London IPO and expected to get a green light from Chinese authorities. But a source said the fast fashion giant has seen an unexpected delay and limited communication from the China Securities Regulatory Commission. Shein and the watchdog did not immediately respond to a Reuters request for comment. The firm had originally pursued a listing in New York to access a wide pool of large Western investors. It aimed for legitimacy as a global rather than a Chinese company. A separate source said the London IPO was complicated by allegations of cotton use from China's Xinjiang region. Shein says it has a zero-tolerance policy for forced labour and child labour in its supply chain. But such claims could have risked embarrassment for Beijing, according to the source. They added tensions with the US over trade also made Chinese leaders more wary. Reuters reported in February that Shein was due to cut its valuation in a potential London listing to around $50 billion. That's almost a quarter less than the $66 billion valuation it achieved in a 2023 fundraising deal.
Shein wants their money. Shein wants their money. Oh my god, they're doing anything they can. Guys, we didn't get into London. Let's get into Hong Kong. It feeds onto this vibe of desperation, of like just looking at any possible solution to get what they want, which is money, capitalism. Let's make those bottom line goals. Let's make these shareholders happy. God, if they didn't originally want Hong Kong, just leave them alone. That's my logic. That's just my logic. Can you tell I don't like capitalism? Oh my gosh, my hair is so frizzy, by the way. It's very, very humid out here in Illinois, and it's bothering me. Shein and humidity, same level of annoyance right now. They're both pains and the... Oh gosh, but very interesting turn of events. Very interesting turn of events. We're going to take a deep breath and move on to the next news bit because we'll be following Shein and their shenanigans. I will make sure of it so that we know how horrible these power players are so that we can make better fashion choices. And I am sure we already don't shop from them, but it is still good to know because they are leading the charge of how terrible a fast fashion brand can operate. Yes, they are the villain. We must not let them become... Oh, I don't even know what I'm saying. We must not let them win. Okay, so let's see. I love how I can live stream and just mess up and like wing things as I go. This is the beauty of live streaming. This is why I like live streaming, because I can mess up and y'all are still listening to me. You have no choice unless you click out. But yeah, I trust you guys want to learn with me. So also, okay, so back to Shein. Okay, I did want to talk about this before I move on, but this is a piece that I've been seeing all over social media. Maybe you've seen it on LinkedIn, maybe you've seen it on Instagram, maybe this is your first time seeing it now, but someone called Emmanuel made this very cool art piece showcasing the waste. I need to sign in. Showcasing the waste that Shein produces, and it's like working off of a ad, because as we know, fashion is advertised in a billboard ad. So yeah, very compelling visual, compelling visual. I think it was done by AI, not gonna lie. If it is, I don't like AI, so maybe next time don't use AI. But yeah, very compelling visual that just illuminates what's going on, because it can promote this idea of fashion and beauty. And this is like actually what's happening. You're just creating trash, man. You're just creating trash. And here is the caption. I really love the caption, so let me read it to you. Let me get my freaking face out of the way. Okay, so it says, an uncomfortable truth. Shein didn't just build a fashion empire. It built a momentum, it built a monument to excess, says Emmanuel. So stop wasteful spending with fast fashion that ends up in landfills after one wear. Instead, invest in tried and true and vintage that has withstood I cannot read sometimes withstood the test of time and still offers a unique style and quality. So please shop vintage and put those dollars to work in your community. Yes, sir. We will be having a sidewalk sale tomorrow. Oh, nice. Sidewalk sale for $2. I'm gonna go. Vintage store. Where's it at? I wanna go. I love a good vintage sale. A to vintage PSI. Nice. Doesn't say where they're at. That's fine. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. I don't need stuff anyways. I don't need it. I don't need it. Oh, don't look at my music. Oh, guys, look at the Anti-Capitalistic Book of Fashion. If you guys want a good audiobook or a good book in general, I highly, highly recommend that the Anti-Capitalistic Book of Fashion by Tansy E. Hoskins. I am using the premium version of Spotify. So what that means for me is that I get to download these books and listen to it when I'm not online or on Wi-Fi, which is so great when I'm like driving my car or when I'm like shopping in the store and just don't want to be bothered with anything else. And I have a terrible phone plan, so I don't really have data, so I just kind of use Spotify for when I'm offline, and I usually go to Spotify to listen to music or whatever. So highly recommend if you like something to learn about or think about when you're shopping or driving or just vibing in life, you know, just plug in an AirPod and there you go. You got a very interesting book, and it's very nuanced. It's a very long book. I'm on track seven, and every track is like an hour. So, and there's 14 tracks, so it's like 14 hours worth of really good knowledge, and it's very intersectional. It talks about the nuances of capitalism, how it's connected to colonialism, how it's connected to very ugly roots of greed and exploitation. Yeah, it's a very, 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 very dense listening session. So it's not for like very casual listening, I would say, but like if you're bored and like want something to kind of like learn from, it's a perfect book. So highly recommend. I'm always reading it, by the way. I'm always digesting this. So I have both the physical copy and then the audio copy. Also, nothing I'm saying is ever sponsored. I'm actually just talking. Just talking to talk. No one is paying me nothing. This is coming from my heart. No one bought my soul today. And I love 5 Seconds of Summer. There you go. I've been listening to English Love Affair over and over and over again. I am just a girl. I'm just a girl that cares. Okay, so, oh, don't look at my screen. Okay, so we're going to go back to the news. But yeah, very interesting Shein billboard visual. Illuminates the truth. But let's move on. Let's go to more news. So, Have you guys heard that Ulta is turning employees into influencers? Why am I still down here? I'm in the corner. As a Latina, I cannot have myself in a corner any longer. How do I increase the brightness? My room looks dark. Okay. So, Ulta is turning employees into influencers. Da da da. I would hate to be a Ulta beauty worker if I had to be an influencer. Jesus. Another heavy website. It's starting to glitch as soon as I put this website on. But here it says Ulta Beauty isn't just cool with its employees making social media content on the clock, it's paying them to do it. And this article is by Tube Filter. If you want to stay up to date with content stuff, like the latest news on YouTubers and Twitch streamers and stuff like that, Tube Filter, man. And their newsletter, so good. So good. But it says the relationships between companies and employees who make content about their experiences working there has always been a tenacious one. A few years ago, employees were possibly more likely to get a call from the boss and a "hey, stop that" than a "congratulations, you're making our brand go viral." But things have supposedly shifted during the pandemic, with TikTok letting everyone from fast food staffers to fairs share their daily lives at work. And now Ulta Beauty is not just letting employees make social media content about working there, it's also paying them for it. So there is a new ambassador program which seeks employees who are already successfully making content about Ulta. And they call them Ulta Beauties. I'm laughing because this is kind of like not that serious, but kind of silly, and like it's kind of weirding me out. Ulta Beauties. And basically how it works is that it pays them to make 2 commissioned deliverables, so 2 things per month. So per glossy, what? Okay, oh wait, no, that's part of the sentence. Per glossy, okay, because Glossy explains, these deliverables are usually themed around Ulta's current sale promotions and new products and category launches. So it's about their products and their promotions and about their products and launches. Okay, yeah, product launches and promotions. Nice. And these beauties also consult with beauty. What? I cannot read today. The beauties consult with Ulta. Okay, the beauties consult with Ulta. There you go. Helping it sharpen its own account social media strategy. So what they're saying is to get help from corporate. Okay. Beauties are allowed to make content on or off the clock. Oh, please be on the clock. Wait, do they get 2 salaries? So let's say I'm an Ulta Beauty, talking to corporate, and there's a promotion, and I can do this on or off the clock. If I do this on the clock, but I'm getting paid to do content, do I get 2 paychecks now? Or is it better to do it off the clock because it guarantees an additional paycheck? Right, girls, right? Big brain moment. See what I mean? Or is it a 2-in-1 where you only get paid when you're on the clock and then off the clock you don't? Which would be highly unethical, and I don't think they're doing that, but let me see. Associate manager Stacy says, We knew we had an untapped superpower with our store's associates. Yeah, not only are they struggling to survive and barely getting a livable wage at Ulta, but they got some untapped superpower, meaning we can get more labor from them. They know what's happening before we do. Okay? Kind of sounds stalkerish. We know what they're up to, we just need to get it. What the heck? Okay, lady. You're really invested in your job. So Ulta Chief Retail Officer Amy says, our associates are really the heartbeat of what we do. What is this article? Our associates post and engage on all sorts of social media platforms. Honestly, this is giving like stalker vibes. Our retailers are everything to us. They are the heartbeats. They post and encourage. They are everything. My gosh, they are our biggest advocates and most passionate about what we do. Okay. I don't know about you, but I'm not vibing with this. How would you join an ambassador program for the job you're already working at? I feel like social media is to be, I don't know, to be fun, to be yourself. And then when you have corporate in your ear, it's like, brother, is this fun anymore? Like, brother, I don't want to talk to Amy about my strategy today. Like, am I going to get paid extra for this, or I'm just going to get more watched at work because of what I'm doing? You know? But apparently there's interest. So 1,500 associates applied when this was announced. But for context, Ulta has 50,000. What was that accent? 50,000 total associates. So out of the 50,000 total associates, only 1,500 associates applied. Can we get a calculator over here? Can we get a calculator? Let's get a calculator. Okay, so 50,000. You're doing math over here. Divided by 1,500. Oh, equals not had. 33% of the total staff. No, 33.333 to be exact. Applied, which is not bad. I mean, world or nationwide, 33%. Dang. I guess they do got fans. Wait, how much do they pay? Does anyone know how much Ulta Beauty pays? Oh wait, no, I'm not supposed to use Google. I use Ecosia, not Pluto. Jeez, not my search history. I'm so into Sailor Moon right now. Don't judge me. I'm 28. Don't judge me. Everyone has their hobbies. Okay, what was I looking up? Ulta Beauty wage. Illinois. I'm in Illinois. Let's see. I cannot type. Plant a tree for me. Nice. Okay, so where can I get a estimate? $17 to $20? Okay, that's not bad. Like someone working in the store is what I'm looking for, to clarify. 2021 they were making about $10.75. Damn, that is old news. Okay, I think they're just getting minimum wage. Average associate average wage. That's the noise when I'm learning. Blah, 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 blah. So it says here, average Ulta associate hourly pay in the United States is $16.44. Damn. God. Damn. That's very little. So many tabs. Okay. So they're only making $16.44. And so 33% of them said, yes, I want to be part of this program. But not everyone gets in. Oh, okay. It's exclusive then. Dang. On top of surviving a minimum wage, it's exclusive to get in. And will only accept around 30 staffers for its first cohort. Y'all gotta be kidding me. So these staffers range in position from cashier up to store manager with expertise in and around content. And they have to know hairstyling, makeup, skincare, and nail care. Oh my god, that sounds like so much work. Would you be doing this if you were an Ulta Beauty associate? You're stressed about money, and you somehow get into this very elitist, exclusive beauties ambassadorship. Would you do it? A lot of them want to end up at corporate and marketing, so creative, social media, or PR. So I'd say the possibilities are limitless. They could be CEO of Ulta one day. Huh? Okay, that was a big jump. I was not expecting to read that. I don't know. I feel like they're making it like a huge thing while these people are like surviving. But I do think Ulta Beauty wants to capitalize on TikTok and social media on the ground that they otherwise can't do with their corporate team who are sitting in their pretty desks not knowing what's happening in the stores because they're in their pretty desk. So I think they're just basically sourcing content from those on the ground to get like quote unquote more organic, authentic content. Now, I don't think this is necessarily bad. I think it's very strategic for those working in the corporate marketing realm, in the high offices, in the high fancy, chairs, and looking at their cute little portfolios of like marketing strategies. But at the end of the day, like those that are on the ground that are making $16.44 do not deserve to be like, yeah, we'll probably pick you. We know you love Ulta. We know that there is a lot of talent, but we'll only choose 30 out of the what was it, 30,000? What was the number? What was the number? I forgot the numbers. I hate numbers. Out of the 1,500 that applied, only 30 get accepted. And there's this promise somehow that you'll probably make it in corporate marketing if you get accepted. Like give them something substantial. And also, like, how are you paying them? Because I know they explain like, oh, you can either do this on the clock or out of clock, or on clock or out of the clock, like whether you're in the store or not, you can do this. But like, what is like the pay structure? Because it has to be ethical. No matter how passionate you are, like, tell us how this is going to work, so that not only the consumers are aware, but also the people applying are aware. And if you don't disclose that in a article or in a PR statement, then like, how is a general person gonna understand this? So Ulta Beauty, like, I would hate for them to use their passionate staff for their own benefit to source organic or authentic marketing content. But it's just, I really do want to trust that they're doing the right thing, that they're doing this from a genuine level. But as we all know, retail workers are often overworked. They don't have any downtime, especially in retail, especially when there's customers asking you where the freaking makeup brush is at. So if these dirty ambassadors do take this up, like, I do wonder what privileges or what time they'll be given to actually do this in the store, as we face a lot of weird customers in the store. Like, how can you like do a video and then like answer people's questions? You know what I mean? Like, what's that tension looking like? But hopefully they're supported. Hopefully they get more resources. Hopefully they get abilities to like move up in life and show their passion for Ulta. I've been seeing Ulta Beauty on YouTube and TikTok, everywhere, to be honest. I'm not a huge like makeup person. I do care about clean beauty, but I'm not someone that's like, oh, I'm gonna put blush on my thing right here. What's this called? Yeah, I do want to get into makeup more though. I think it's a talent. I think it's an art. I'm not that creative. I feel like I'm a tomboy, but I don't want to admit that I'm a tomboy, because it just sounds bad to be like, oh, I'm a tomboy. I feel like I'm a very feminine person, so I don't know. But I do have tomboy tendencies. I'm like very down to earth. I think that's what I'm saying. I'm a very down to earth person, but I like casual, like relaxed fits. I like things that are comfortable. I like things that are easy. I'm always wearing like men's shirts. So I'm kind of like a tomboy in nature, but like my Pinterest board, man, my Pinterest board is so different from what I actually look like and dress like. So I just kind of need to manifest my Pinterest. Maybe that's what's happening here. I need to dress like my Pinterest board. Here, I'll show you my aesthetics before I move on to the next article, because I have been going on a bit of tangents. But here is my Pinterest. I want to dress like my Pinterest board. I want to look like this. It's just I can't look like this. I feel like I have a very feminine energy or feminine desire to look a certain way, but I look like a tomboy. So I want to look and be immersed in this sort of world, and like have the makeup looks and the vibes and stuff. There's no makeup looks in this one. I do have a makeup board, but this is it. But guys, I do need to work on my makeup. So I need to manifest my inner baddie. See? Okay, so yeah, that's a bit of my style. But for the Ulta beauties out there, you guys are You guys are a next level I can't understand yet. Okay, so we're gonna move on. Been going on tangents. Okay, so here we are going to talk about how TikTok banned skinny talk. This may be a bit triggering if you have body issues or struggle with mental stuff around weights. So just a little warning, but basically TikTok banned skinny talk. I don't know much about skinny talk, to be honest. I'm not on that side of TikTok, but it says TikTok is taking action against posts that depict the effects of disordered eating. So amid mounting pressure from regulators affiliated with the European Commission, ByteDance's own app has banned the skinny talk hashtag, which was used to disseminate videos that perpetuate harmful beliefs about body image. So skinny talk took off in April when the namesake hashtag hosted thousands of videos that celebrated unrealistic and unhealthy female standards. So the skinny talk clips heightened broader concerns regarding the social media's industry's deleterious effects on teen body image, a trend that can be seen through the long-form popularity of the diet pill and steroid-like drug videos. It didn't take long before skinny talk drew scrutiny from regulatory bodies. Clara Chapaz, France's Minister of State for Digital Affairs, brought the hashtag to the European Commission's attention. And Chapaz called skinny talk unacceptable and urged the Commission to crack down on toxic body image beliefs. So TikTok quickly acquiesced to those demands and said, "We have blocked search results for skinny talk since it has become linked to unhealthy weight loss content," said TikTok spokesperson Paolo in a statement published on June 2nd, which Chapaz cheered the move as a collective victory. So this is not the first time TikTok has taken action to curb controversial body image content. 2 years ago, the app caused a stir among creators when it restricted videos that promoted semaglutide drugs like Ozempic as weight loss solutions. And YouTube has initiated similar crackdowns on its own platform, while companies like Meta and X have been criticized for relative inaction. So TikTok's attempt to nix skinny talk is a good step forward, but to fully address toxic body image standards and their effects on teenagers' use, the app has to do more. Playing whack-a-mole with dangerous hashtags is an imperfect solution. One idea would be to take a page out of YouTube's book by tweaking recommendation algorithms to surface fewer videos that could be tied to disordered eating and related ills. The article ends off by saying, with a new lineup of features, TikTok is moving in the right direction. On Good Morning America, representatives for the app announced a new self-care tool for the For You page, including a topic manager, improved keyword filters, and an updated safety-centered guide. The popular app is becoming a healthier place to browse, even if it will take more work to reverse negative body standards. Interesting. I do want to watch what they said in the Good Morning America segment, so let me look that up because I think this is a very important news and information that we do have to digest and kind of think about, because the internet can be a very, very unfriendly place. Very unfriendly place. And I've personally struggled with body disorder issues, so the less toxic ideologies and concepts online can really make a difference. I personally know that. So let's see. Skinny. Where shall we see this? Oh, I don't see it. Give me the clip. Give me the clip. Maybe it's in this one? Should we just watch a full hour of the Good Morning America? Let's just all watch Good Morning America right now, right here. Not the ads. Not the ads, guys. If I can't find it in this clip, I'm probably going to move on. speed run it, guys. Let's speed run this. Okay, nope, can't find that there. Oh. And I'm looking at all the news right now. Taylor Swift is low-key, don't care. Creams, don't care. I don't know where it's at. You don't know where it's at. That looks like TikTok. Nope, it's just a girl. I can't find it, guys. I cannot find this news. I just stereotype someone. No. No, I can't find it. So this was from 2 years ago, so I'm probably going to move on. But that's good on them for going on Good Morning America and bringing more awareness about the harmful effects of TikTok, and also just making initiatives to like make the online world a bit more safe and more accessible and not so toxic. So yes, there you go. There you go. Okay, so we're going to move on. I actually saw this tweet. It's about a political dominatrix that uses mind games to humiliate her submissives, which reveals how she focuses her unique skills on white right-wing men in order to turn them into socialists. It's an old article by Daily Mail, but it went viral on Twitter recently, and I just found it very funny. Very weird. But basically, back when this was published in 2018, it featured a girl called Reba, who goes by Mistress Rebecca, who was 27 at the time and is a professional dominatrix, as well as a political science lecturer at Central St. Martin's in London. And she apparently dominates white men, especially on the right wing. She is a socialist who has a mixed race, and she admitted that she could never be mean to someone who wasn't white because the world is run by white men. Again, these are all very controversial ideas. But let's see what she has to say, man. So instead of kind of don't want to read this article, but she basically relies on words and mind games to degrade her male clients. And her work comes from a frustration with men who indulge in fetishes that have no alignment with their everyday politics. So I think she's just someone that has tried to do a lot of activism, I guess, in the past. And this is just her route now, or has been her route. I don't think this is necessarily my path, but as you can see here, this is an example of what people will do to try to change people's mind. I don't really think it's effective to I would say bully people into your personal ideologies. I feel like there's some good intent in trying to submit someone into your ideas or make them submissive under your ideas, but I don't really think that you can beat people out of their values. You know what I mean? Or you can't gaslight people out of their beliefs, or you can't like trick them with mind games after a certain while, you know? So I just found that very interesting that dominatrix thought that she could like beat the values out of their head. So even if there are right-wing people, like I don't think that violence really causes more ethics or more goodness or like more left-wing thoughts to emerge, you know? I feel like it just breeds more violence and more hate and more frustration. But those are just my thoughts, my immediate thoughts. I don't know why people turn into dominatrix. I think there's an underlying tone of like wanting to control people or wanting to assert dominance, or they find pleasure in pain or pleasure in a lot of torturous moments in life. I don't really understand the logic here, but to each their own. Hopefully she finds happiness, and hopefully right-wing men become illuminated and more self-aware through their journey of life. But I don't think I'm going to go ahead and go and find them and beat them up so that they become leftists or socialists. I don't think I'm capable of that either ways. And that's a lot of work. That's a lot of work, to be honest. I don't want to be dealing with them either ways. I do think that it's more impactful to reach like-minded people that are not really taking action and motivate them to take action. So hopefully they become like activists or community builders or host clothing swaps or have more of a anti-capitalistic leaning. I think we all generally care about each other and want to come together as a collective, especially when we're so lonely and isolated, given there's no third spaces, which is like something outside of like work and home. Like we want to congregate, we just don't have that and we become isolated. So I just always encourage people to come together and just be with each other in a wholesome, platonic way and find joy and find resistance through that process. I just don't necessarily think we need to waste time with right-wing men. But if they're up in our space, if we need to defend ourselves, we might as well engage. But usually, honestly, right-wing men come to us. They come to the leftists to you know, disturb the peace and harass them, sadly enough. And I think that's when we can be like, yo, you want a whooping right now? Like, you want some domination right now? I think that's when it's justified to, like, self-defend yourself. But I'm not going to go out and seek them. But to this political dominatrix, that's a very interesting angle. No judgment on her, but that's a lot of effort, man. That's a lot of effort. Hopefully maybe it works. There's no guarantee. You can't guarantee someone's going to be whooped out of their senses. But you know, you can always try. You can have your methods, I guess, be experimental here and there. But yeah, that went viral on TikTok. Or I mean on Twitter, and I was like, what am I looking at right now? What is going on? Oh my god. But we're going to move on. I like to keep it wholesome over here as we talk about anti-capitalism. But I do want to move on and talk about some other luxury fashion news too, because I like to keep up to date with like who is our latest colonizer in the fashion industry. And that is Jonathan Anderson, who's going to lead the charge. And Dior, he's going to be at the helm of both the women's, men's, and haute couture house. So that's the dude. That's the dude that's going to dictate our next collections. There you go. There you go. I don't know much about him. Do you guys know anything about him? Because I have no idea who this man is. Yeah, it looks like your average Joe. Mr. Joe. Mr. Jonathan Anderson. Is he cool? Like, does he do good stuff? I want to feel like a queen when I wear Dior now. Will he do this for me? Will he make me feel like a queen? Let's see. Let's see. Not the ads. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. Okay.
Dior will appoint Jonathan Anderson to head its womenwear designs and haute couture. The LVMH-owned label confirmed Monday he will take over from Maria Grazia Chiuri. It further widens his role at the fashion giant, where he's already its menswear designer. LVMH CEO Bernard Arnault called Anderson one of the greatest creative talents of his generation.
Oops.
The French fashion house named the 40-year-old as head of menswear designs in April. The award-winning Irish designer generated buzz around his previous role at Loewe. Fashion critics were impressed by his quirky designs that caught the attention at the Spanish label. The move comes with the sector currently struggling to recover from a prolonged slump. The luxury industry has been hit by China's property crisis and economic uncertainty in the US. Top luxury houses have bet on new design directions to help bring back shoppers.
Bring back the money. Bring it back to us. Apparently he's talented. Okay. Can I get his portfolio? Is this an example of his stuff? I don't know if I want to watch this. Let's see.
It was not your traditional announcement. This news did not come in the form of your typical press release, but rather during the 2025 LVMH annual general meeting. And it was revealed that Jonathan Anderson would be the artistic director for Dior menswear. And just to backtrack a little bit, Kim Jones left Dior earlier this year, right after we saw the Dior men's fall winter 2025 collection. Now, of course, we discussed this when it happened a few months ago. We took a look at his last collection, his swan song. It was very obvious that this would be his last show, and it was announced soonly after that he would be leaving. We also covered recently how Jonathan Anderson was leaving Loewe, and how it has also been speculated for quite some time that Jonathan Anderson would be going to Dior. But during the annual meeting, during the Q&A portion, Bernard Arnault was asked who is taking over Kim Jones's position at Dior. And Bernard Arnault answered Jonathan Anderson's debut collection would be the Dior menswear collection in June. So again, typically these types of announcements are in the form of official press releases, but maybe it was fine to mention simply.
I'm gonna switch my AirPods out because I can't hear. Give me 1 second.
Because it's been an open secret for so long. And of course, there's a lot of announcements that are happening this year, but it's something that has been anticipated for some time. Of course, this is a major move for Jonathan Anderson. Even though we've known this, I think he's been elevated to this position, rightfully so. And I also appreciate how LVMH, they hired a talented designer and they really invested in him, gave him a chance at Loewe. They invested in his own brand, and Loewe has become a major fashion house. So all the credit to Jonathan Anderson, and I think this is actually a positive story. Now, also an interesting note here, because this was in the form of a question, there was no follow-up as to what about the women's wear side, because he was just responding to the menswear side. What about women's wear? Now, I don't know what is specifically happening. I don't know if perhaps they're going to make a big announcement after Maria Grazia leaves Dior, and I think that's probably why it's being prolonged. Maria Grazia Curie's last show, or at least it's anticipated, it's likely going to be the collection, I think it's a cruise collection in Rome on May 27th. Probably around then or after then, they're going to announcement that he is likely going to do both. Of course, this is speculation here. I'm just guessing, but you know, if it
This is an old video, so he was chosen for this. The speculations have become truth.
It is major props to him. Dior is a very prestigious brand. It is one of LVMH's top brands. I think this is a testament to Jonathan Anderson. And when Bernard Arnault was asked during the Q&A portion about his success as a CEO running the biggest luxury conglomerate and being able to still do it at 76 years old, he mentioned one of the reasons why he's been able to be so successful is he's hired some of the best creative talent in the world. And one of the names he lists is Jonathan Anderson. That is a testament to Jonathan Anderson, his work at Loewe to become $1 billion brand. When he really did expand Loewe, it really, I think, made it a brand that we know for their leather goods, for their own heritage, for their leather goods, their handbags, things like that. I also did a deeper dive on Jonathan Anderson when it was announced that he was going to leave Loewe. In that video, I looked at his various eras at Loewe, as well as his handbags, so check that video out. In the realm of menswear, I think he's going to do a great job. I think Loewe has such a strong menswear line. I also think he's going to create a great men's bag, or really unisex bag, because I think the beauty about handbags, they are unisex. They can be for men or women.
She's glazing him over here. Okay. Got the vibes, you got the idea. Okay, let's see. Let's learn a bit more about him because I have no idea who he is. He's been in the industry for a while, huh? Mode Story, Jonathan Anderson by Elle. Let's see.
Come on, Barbie. Yeah, who are...
Come on, Barbie, let's go party.
Code de la mode est à l'origine de tenues et d'accessoires iconiques et il vient tout juste de faire son entrée chez...
Uh-oh, I don't know how to speak French.
Dior. Aujourd'hui, on vous raconte la mode story de Jonathan.
I'm actually learning French on Duolingo. It's not been going good. French is such a difficult language. I know Spanish and English, and I want to pretend I know French. It's just a very hard language to learn. Sadly enough. Okay, I think I'm gonna move on. I really don't like luxury fashion, to be honest, and I'm not gonna glaze designers. Hopefully he comes out with empowering collections and is creative in his own sense. But do we need more stuff? Do we need more stuff? Do we need more stuff? That is the real question here, as the world has enough clothing to clothe the next 6th generation. And obviously that is coming from fast fashion, but I do think luxury fashion influences our trajectory. It influences what's going to happen in fast fashion. So we can't discredit luxury fashion to have nothing to do with what's happening in fast fashion. And I feel like luxury fashion is so overpriced, but like, do we really know where it's coming from half the time? No. There's been controversies that it's been made in unethical locations and not been so sustainable, or it hasn't been made by artisans. So we need more transparency and accountability and sustainability in the luxury industry in general, because look at what's happening in the industry. There's clothing in landfills. There's so much clothing. This is in Chile. There's dumpsters and dumps and piles and piles and piles of clothing that they don't even know what to do with it, and it takes 200 years to disintegrate. Polyester, man, why did we make plastic-based materials for it to take hundreds and hundreds of years to decompose? Like, what are we doing? I don't care if it's luxury. I don't care if it's fast fashion. If it ends up in the landfill, it's the same thing. It's waste. It's wastefulness. Like, let's just love clothing no matter if it's luxury or fast fashion. Because look at what's happening. It's affecting so many beautiful locations like Chile. And it's always hurting the most vulnerable. It's always hurting the most poor. I bet your butts that no one wants to live next to a textile dump. No one wants to be surrounded by clothing that's being lit on fire so that they can get rid of it. They're inhaling that odor. They're inhaling those toxic fumes, those chemicals. No one wants to go through this. No reasonable person wants to like suffer because some white person didn't want their clothing anymore. Now, sometimes we think, okay, if we donate to the thrift store, that's fine. But a lot of times thrift stores can't even sell what is being donated. Only like a certain percentage is actually sold on the floor. A lot of it is actually donated to these companies that then export them to different countries. And they usually end up in the global south, quote unquote, like developing countries like Chile. They don't even want it. It's just they're kind of forced into these unfair contracts. And then they're like, what are we supposed to do with this? This is very bad quality. And then they just end up burning it. They burn it. See, even Chile's like, yeah, let's pass a law where the importers have to be responsible for this, because we're kind of done taking the responsibility of other people's wasteful practices. It's almost like a kid is like, yeah, la la la, sure, love it, cute, toss it away. And they're like, mommy, like, be responsible for this. And then the mom, which is the United States, is like, yeah, we're going to blame this on this random Chilean person. Yeah, we're going to talk to Chile and coerce them into making sure they deal with it. Chile had nothing to do with it. I mean, they can decide to make business with the United States, but like, there's power dynamics. There's a lot of complications within the global supply chain that doesn't make things always the most fair for those with less power, less privilege. So, I mean, there is choice there, but like, how much choice do you have when there's a power and corrosion within the dynamic? You know what I mean? So, it's not a very pretty picture for Chile. Not a very pretty picture for the most vulnerable. So, yes, I don't care about luxury fashion. I don't. I'm sorry, people, I don't. Very pretty, though, very pretty. And I love my fashion shows, don't get me wrong. But we shall move on. We shall move on and learn more and progress and keep on moving on. So there is a lot of conversations right now on the topic of Target. I've been seeing some TikToks where people are like, TikTok is going bankrupt. TikTok is going bankrupt, and all the comments are like, bro, stop coming up with your weird theories. Target is not going bankrupt. But yeah, so Retail Dive said that the mass merchant is looking to turn around falling sales and declining customer sentiment. But first, it needs to diagnose its own problems, which is, I want to say, DEI. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. That is a problem here. But the article explains it's been a tough few months for Target, or at least that's how the CEO, Brian Cornwall, is describing it in an email to employees in early May. So in the email, which Target shared with Retail Dive, Cornell recognized that silence from leadership has created uncertainty, but added reassurance that we are still the Target you know and believe in, a company that welcomes all and aims to bring joy to everyone every day. Dude, the prices at Target are so expensive. What joy is that? They're scamming us. I don't know. That's just my personal opinion. But I'm Mexican American. I'm the wrong demographic here, so just saying. But Target is not standing still in the face of these challenges. Wow. They're really making them out as a hero in this article. They're not standing still. So the retailer announced a slew of new brands or offerings over the past few months, met with some well-known activists to discuss its DEI changes, launched a strategic refocusing initiative, and switched up its executive team. Okay, so they fired everyone and they're like, let's start new. Dang, okay. Did they fire the racist ones? That's the question here. But still, analysts seem doubtful about how quickly the business can be turned around. Plus, the work comes at the time major changes in U.S. trade policy is happening, which is upending retail planning, aka tariffs. And there's a lot more uncertainty in the retail industry right now. But Target has a plan. Why are they glazing them? So, let's see. Blah, 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 blah. So, what are they doing differently? That's a good question. We're not like other retailers, which is precisely what consumers have told us they value about Target. Wait, why do people buy at Target? That's a good question, actually. Because from my understanding, can I just rant a second? From my understanding, I've always seen Target as the bougie version of Walmart. If you don't want to go to Walmart and you got an extra buck, go to Target. If you're white and want to feel a bit more elitist, go to Target. If you want to feel a little bit more successful in life, go to Target. If you want to be poor, broke, and like everyone else, go to Walmart. That's like been my mindset, because you can go to Walmart. You can just go to Walmart. So like when you go to Target, like what's the reasoning here? For me, it's been like, oh, only the Americans go there. Only the people with money go there, because everything is so overpriced and it's way too clean. It's like, I don't know how to explain it. It's just like it gives like clean girl vibes, but it comes with the price, like the literal price of overpriced things. So as a Mexican American with migrant parents, Target has not been the demographic. It's not been the demographic. And if you take a stroll in the store, you see certain races. Most of the time it's just one race, and it's not Mexican. So, what makes them different? I think it's a sense of elitism. I think that's just me, though. If you shop at Target, good on you, I guess. I don't know. You got that money. What's your job? But they say here, where the place. Oh, let me go back to the article. They say, Where the place to go to discover on-trend, affordable products that you can't find anywhere else. Where the place they know will be a welcome break in their day, whether they're strolling the aisle or scrolling their feed. Okay. So I think I know the solution here, Target. Don't be racist. But I think their entire business is built on that. Like the vibes have not been that diverse for a long time. So if they can change the vibes, then I think they'll get their money back. I know it's not that simple, but you know, it could actually really help getting your money back. Get those DEI programs back in. Get those DEI initiatives back in. I do wonder if they're going to bring it back, though. I do wonder. Okay, let me see if there's any news bits on this. Whether there's any updates on Target and their DEI initiatives. Because, I mean, if they want to make their money, they should go for it. Like, they should really work on that stuff, you know. Oh, the Pride marketing is toned down? Is it? What? I like the gay pride, but what are brands doing? Are they messing this up too? Not only are they conservative, but they're anti-gay pride? Gosh, how many times can you mess up this year? Jesus. These brands are just in their own little bubble, huh?
Intense boredom. Many corporations are cutting their programs and pulling back on sponsoring Pride events. New York City Pride has launched what it's calling a community fundraising campaign to make up a $750,000 budget shortfall. And take a look at this survey from the Pew Research Center. Earlier this year, they asked people why they think corporations promote Pride. And as you see there, 68% of LGBTQ people surveyed said these businesses think it will help them, and 54% of non-LGBTQ people said the same. But take a look at this. Only 16% of LGBTQ adults believe corporations promote Pride because they have a genuine desire to celebrate the community. That compared to 13% of non-LGBTQ adults. Let's bring in Adrienne Pasquarelli now. She's a senior reporter for Ad Age who covers marketing in retail and finance. Great to have you with us this morning, Adrienne. So how widespread are these changes in the retail sector? And is it just about rainbow logos, or are there more noticeable differences out there this year?
Well, the Pride marketing is very, very quiet this year. It's really quite sparse, and that reflects, as you said, this overall trend about this fear of brands doing anything diversity related these days. Brands are afraid of backlash from conservative consumers. They're also afraid of retribution from the current administration in Washington. One big brand that had previously been very vocal as a champion of Pride initiatives in the past, they told me that they are still engaged. They're still sponsoring some parades and things like that, but they're not willing to speak about it on the record because of this fear of broad backlash. And I think that's the sentiment across the board.
And as we saw from that survey, though, if companies are trying to genuinely communicate to customers that they do care about these type of inclusion policies, how are those, or which companies, I'm wondering, are actually leaning into this despite the resistance from the current administration?
Well, we are seeing a couple brands such as Sephora, American Eagle, and Levi's, and they're doing some marketing and Pride-related collections, and they're not being as quiet about it as other brands. They're posting about it on social media. They're emailing some of their consumers. Sephora has a campaign with Lady Gaga, and I think this speaks to their target consumer. American Eagle, for example, their target is teens, and teens have said that they support Pride marketing and diversity initiatives.
And we have seen in places like Target experience business declines because of their pullback of DEI and efforts to boycott them. And I know that as we referenced this survey in the intro, we know that there's a sentiment of many consumers not taking this stuff seriously or not believing that corporations really are doing this out of the goodness of their heart. Well, why do you think there is that suspicion when it comes to companies trying to support Pride?
Well, I think this overall pullback that we're seeing really shows that those companies that had Pride initiatives in the past, they were really just rainbow washing. I mean, we're hearing that term quite a bit. And it shows that maybe those companies that were promoting Pride were not so genuine about that support. It's not actually there in their mission.
All right, Adrienne Pasquarelli, great to speak to you about this. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
The pride washing. Why can't brands just actually be good brands? Ugh. I need to post more stuff on Pride Month. I am in solidarity. I actually do care about this stuff. It is not just a marketing scheme, okay? But the brands like Target and everyone else really need to do better. Like, I think it's really important to show solidarity and to show support of all sorts of different people. I think the the taking away of the DEI initiatives and the reduction of pride, of gay pride, is it's very worrisome. It's very telling that our current president is changing the culture and silencing a lot of critical voices and perspectives, and making it harder for those that are marginalized or often oppressed to emerge and be loved and respected and be seen as worthy of living a safe and dignified life. I think it's going to be a bit more of a struggle to have a fulfilling and normal and safe everyday, life. So I worry for those that are not white men that are conservative in their values, because we're just being criminalized left and right, whether you're gay, whether you're black, whether you're Latina, or whatever you are, undocumented or undocumented. If you're not a white man with conservative values, then you're just kind of like not that accepted right now. Very worry sometimes, but I think that we can all play our part. We can be, more compassionate. We can be a bit more understanding of different values, different perspectives. We can, put on our pride shirts, even if we're not necessarily in the pride world. Even if we're straight, we can be like, yo, that's cool. Like, let me wear my gay pride banner, or put on put the flag in my room. But this hate that I see is very worrisome. It makes my head literally like fog over. I always like to say it's going to get better, but Mr. Trump is not making it very easy for the world to get better. So I think just being kind to each other in the ways that we can, even if it feels very, very, very small in comparison to other damages done on us, is necessary. It's very necessary to be kind and remember that we're all just people, and everyone deserves a good, dignified, safe life. I don't care if you like boys. I don't care what your race is. I don't care how much money you got. We all deserve a good life. We all deserve a good life. Not just the white men. Not just the white women who believe in Christianity and are Republican. They're part of the universe. They're part of the collective. And all this hate is just so unnecessary. So unnecessary. Ugh, gosh. But there's a lot more to cover, and I shall progress onwards, and let's just talk about this before I start crying about how hateful and spiteful people are. But yeah, Adidas is actually facing a lot of troubles right now. It did have a lot of good intention last week when it banned kangaroo skins from their shoes, but now they're in a lawsuit because it apparently does not own all of its stripes. So let's let this load. So Fashion Dive actually covers this, where it says the footwear brand is asking a federal judge to confirm that 2 of its sneaker designs don't infringe on Adidas' 3-stripe trademark. So Steve Madden is essentially like making sure it's not a copyright infringement on Adidas. So Steve Madden is suing Adidas. Well, that took a turn. Didn't this imply... Wait, what? So from what I got from this is Steve Madden is making sure that they're not copying from Adidas, But then over here is like Steve is suing Adidas. Okay, that's a concern. That's a concern. Okay, so Steve Madden is suing Adidas because there's some anti-competitive efforts there to monopolize common design features in the fashion industry. So I guess Steve Madden is kind of like, dang Adidas, I can't even use 3 stripes. We're going to sue you now because how am I supposed to compete with you if you got that trademarked? I think that's what's happening. So in court documents filed last week, Steve Madden asked the court to confirm that 2 of its sneaker designs, the Viento and Ganos, don't infringe on Adidas trademarks. Both are low-top, lace-up sneakers that feature 2 non-parallel stripes. So attorneys for Steve Madden said the company is tired of being targeted by Adidas regarding footwear that bears no resemblance to Adidas' trademark 3-stripe design, and further argued that no customer is likely to believe the sneakers are associated with Adidas. So Adidas has a federal trademark protection on a 3 parallel stripe design in specific locations on certain items of clothing and shoes. Attorneys for Steve Madden said Adidas has complained about the designs on Steve Madden's Viento and Gano sneakers, which include a divergent band design and a K design, respectively. Adidas filed a request in April to extend its time to oppose Steve Madden's trademark application for the K design, and its lawyers reached out to Steve Madden about concerns over the divergent band design, per the complaint. So variations of 2 bands on footwear are common in the fashion industry. Steve Madden said in the complaint, which also includes an image of several sneakers with 2 band designs from labels like Converse, Vega, Tommy Hilfiger, and Bailey. So simply put, Adidas does not own all stripes and should not be allowed to claim that it has a monopoly on all footwear that includes stripes, bars, bands, or any shape having 4 sides, parallel, straight, or not, attorneys for Steve Madden said in a complaint. For example, these are the Ganos and here's the Viento. So Adidas has sued Steve Madden over stripes before. Dang, okay, Adidas getting a little bit ghetto over here. I want my stripes, man. No one else can have my stripes. In 2002, the Germany-based company filed 1 complaint over a 4 parallel stripe design and another one over a 2 parallel stripe design, per the complaint. So the 2 lawsuits were combined and both parties reached a settlement in 2003. Damn, they go back, man. They want them stripes. So Steve Madden is seeking a jury trial in the latest complaint, which was filed in the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of New York. The footwear brand also is asking for a declaratory judgment of non-infringement and ruling that states no unfair competition between the companies. So there's no unfair competition, basically. Okay, cool. An Adidas spokesperson declined to comment. Adidas is like, yeah, I ain't talking. These are my stripes. They're my stripe, guys. The heck. So Steve Madden isn't the only brand that Adidas has targeted with litigation over its 3-stripe design. Adidas sued Thom Browne, in year-long litigation over the use of stripes both in the US and the UK. Ultimately, judges ruled in favor of Thom Browne in both instances. Damn. Dang. Drama over stripes. Who knew? Wow, the fashion industry is so funny like that. That's my stripe. No, that's my stripe. I want to sell my shoes with the stripes. No, they're like mine. What the heck? Let's listen to this. Let's listen to some lawyers on YouTube. Heck yeah.
Hi, welcome to BL Business Branding. I'm your host, Nick Martinez, and here with my co-host, Isabel Wadsworth. Today we're going to talk about a trademark dispute between Steve Madden Footwear and Adidas over the 3-stripe trademark they have for their shoes. So here we're going to kind of dive into the history of Adidas's marks, and then what Steve Madden is trying to do, and then Steve Madden's kind of allegations of unsavory or anti-competitive business practices, and then kind of try to find the line between when something is taking inspiration from a design versus when you're infringing on their protected mark.
Right.
And so why don't we just jump right into Adidas's well-known, pretty famous,
absolutely,
three-stripe mark.
Yes. Everyone, I would say, knows what an Adidas shoe looks like. I don't think, that's a little bit of a generalization, but I think that's fair to say that, pretty much everyone is familiar with this brand and has been for several years. It's a brand with a lot of history. It has established itself as a truly strong brand, not just with shoes, but with clothing, and especially with sportswear. And so, yeah, it's definitely a well-recognized brand. There's no denying that. And the history is robust in terms of the development of each product, the story behind each product, and people have a real attachment to Adidas shoes, Adidas clothes, especially, in sports, especially in this country. So, and as you see on the screen here, this is the fairly recognizable design that you see on a lot of Adidas products, the three stripes. It's a legendary brand, and you see this type of design over and over again on the Adidas product. So it's very well established.
Certainly, and whether it's the footwear, the jackets, tracksuits even, the three stripes is throughout all of their products.
Yes.
It's very well recognized. I think the company is some 100 years old out of Germany, and it has worldwide recognition.
Right. And so diving into the dispute here and getting more into the, kind of what's happening with Steve Madden and Adidas, in May of 2025, Steve Madden filed a lawsuit against Adidas in the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of New York. And this case centers around two of the Madden's sneakers, especially, really keeping in mind that Steve Madden has different designs, but the specific ones at issue are the Vento and the Janos shoe, which feature two non-parallel, borders or bands. And Adidas is claiming that these designs infringe upon its iconic, as we mentioned, three-stripe trademark. And it argues in this case that consumers might be confused into thinking that the Steve Madden shoes, the two that I just mentioned, are affiliated with or endorsed by Adidas in some way. But Steve Madden is pushing back, and the company is arguing that the use of these banded designs that they're using on their products is common in the fashion industry, and it's widely common, and that Adidas does not have the right to claim exclusive use over all striped products. That's how Steve Madden would sort of frame that argument.
Certainly, and if you look at the screen here, we got the Steve Madden version of the shoe, and there's some similarities, right? You can see the stripes, but notably there's only two of them.
Right.
And whether or not there's an exact match isn't necessarily what you need to establish, right? You need to establish whether or not a consumer is likely to be confused by the mark.
Right.
And here, Steve Madden's, I think they're kind of trying to walk the line a little as close as possible to maybe be evocative of Adidas's brand, but distinct enough that they don't find themselves in legal hot water.
And you mentioned legal hot water with respect to these three stripes. It wouldn't be Adidas's first rodeo with this. So Adidas has found itself in a legal battle over this design many times. In 2024, Adidas actually lost a lawsuit against a French fashion brand by the name of Isabelle Marant, and then another brand called Sandro. And these two brands were, having similar arguments that we're seeing from Steve Madden, and the court ended up ruling that the stripes used by the two brands were not sufficient to establish infringement of Adidas's intellectual property rights in the three stripes. And the court also, mentioned this positioning of the brands in the market and sort of what impact these cases have on the market. So it's an interesting development that we're seeing with Steve Madden. It's
definitely something that we've seen before with the 3 stripes in terms of the legal battles that have ensued because of people, challenging that. So it's interesting to see this play out.
Certainly, and I think we should kind of focus in now on what the actual, the catalyst of this current lawsuit, because it's interesting where most of the time trademark infringement suits are, the owner of the mark sues an infringer.
Right.
Where here, Steve Madden they are the plaintiffs, and they're suing for a declaratory judgment, trying to have the court affirmatively state that they are not infringing.
It's interesting.
And they're doing that because they're saying that Adidas has had this history going back, I think, to 2002 of zealously enforcing their trademarks, which, of course, when you have a trademark, you have to enforce it. But you get to situations like this where Steve Madden is saying that Adidas has attempted to monopolize their mark and that they are chasing down, hounding, and engaging in what Steve Madden says is unfair business practices with over-policing.
Yes, Steve Madden is definitely taking an aggressive approach with this case. I think it's interesting to see them take that level of proactiveness in terms of protecting their products' designs, and that procedural aspect is particularly why I'm interested in following this case, is because of the posture that Steve Madden is taking as plaintiff and the burdens that they will have to meet. It is going to be, like I said, interesting to see how that plays out. We'll see what the court says about this case, but you mentioned before that line between inspiration versus infringement. I think, what does that mean for the fashion and footwear industry, right? When that line is blurred. As brands continue to sort of push their creative boundaries, I think it's important for them to be in contact with their IP team and IP attorneys who can help them sort of navigate the difficult determination of where that line is drawn. And that line can become blurred very easily. We see it time and time again, but when it is with such a big brand like Adidas, the risk is larger. And so it's important for businesses and brands and entrepreneurs to keep that in mind. And I think these legal battles, that we see unfolding are underscoring the importance of understanding what your IP rights are and what you need to do in order to protect them.
Certainly. And I mean, as we tell pretty much all of our clients, no matter how good your case, your arguments are, you don't know the results until the jury makes their decision. So this is a time where possibly Steve Madden was told, or Adidas was told, oh yeah, we can certainly go forward with this, or no, they're certainly infringing. But the only way we get a final answer is here in the courts.
Right. Or negotiating an agreement with another brand, which, that's an option for folks too. But again, all the more reason to keep our eyes peeled to see how this unfolds. So.
Well, this is a very interesting case with 2 very esteemed brands involved. We'll keep our eye on it and keep you posted.
It's a lot of legal drama for some stripes, man. I like the dedication. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm very curious about how this unfolds. I mean, this has been a long-standing thing with these brands, so very interesting nuance. I like the breakdown by these lawyers. In another life, I would have been a lawyer, but life said you don't have any money, so you can't go back to school. Well, I was trying to do a Trump accent, and then I had like an inner cringe moment, and then I was trying to play it off. But yeah, very interesting. I love this nuance. Very interesting. It's lawyers that do YouTube content, man. Berens and Wig Leonard LLP. There you go. Is a vintage car company treading on Ford's Bronco trademark? Oh. Uh-oh. I like this. I'm gonna subscribe because I do want to learn more about that. I'll watch that later on, but I am going to move on because of time. Actually, I'm jumping on at 6. It's been a long day. I kind of low-key get really stressed when people I don't know come to my house. AT&T guy came over to my house and was like doing stuff, and I was like, dang, I didn't take my nap today. I did not take my nap today, guys. I love my naps. I function off of naps. Even if I'm not doing anything all day today, I need my naps. So I'm kind of really tired today, but hopefully you're enjoying the live stream. I do feel like I'm doing much better because of the internet. Hopefully my personality is coming across a bit better. For the past like 6 months, my live streams has just been me really stressed about the internet and being like, dang, this sucks. Everything sucks. But yeah, I'm so excited that the internet's working. It's been excellent, except for one moment at 4:24 where there was an error. But I'll investigate why that happened. Maybe it was like the page, the article page, which is getting all the Wi-Fi power or something. But yes, I'm really, really excited to keep doing these live streams. Tuesdays and Thursdays, guys. Tuesdays and Thursdays from 4 p.m. Central Time to 6:30 Central Time. Just put it in the background. Just have my voice infiltrate your personal lives. That sounds creepy. Never mind. But I actually do want to talk about some things before I jump off at 6. So I was scrolling on social media and I saw the Hollywood Climate Summit. It sounds very fancy and kind of weird at the same time. I'm like, why is Hollywood having a climate summit? But I saw this on social media and I got really curious, and then I started watching their live streams because they live stream all their like workshops. And I'm like, maybe y'all will be interested in listening about this or learning about this. Who knows? Y'all maybe like the climate, maybe like the planet, maybe care, maybe don't like the fossil fuel industry, you know? Like, who knows? Maybe they actually want to learn. I'm sure you do. So here is the live streams. If you just go to Hollywood Climate Summit, they have everything here. Have not subscribed, but should subscribe. Ta-da! But yeah, they have a bunch of different workshops that they live stream. So they talked about famous people and their perspective on climate justice. They talked about telling the story of climate resilient communities. They showed how there's movements on screen. Maybe that's like through ads or something. I don't know. I have no idea. How music mobilizes. What else? Oh my god, that looks delicious. That looks delicious. And messaging on the stand, comedians, actors, and experts. Gaming takes on climate change. Maybe we'll watch a bit of that. Earth's epic comeback story. The new era begins behind the making of Jurassic World Rebirth. Don't know about that one. Okay. Hollywood Climate Summit 2025 Partner Spotlight. Gotta get them ads. Nice, nice, nice. Okay, why are we consuming this? Because we like the food. Maybe, I don't know. I want to watch this one. This one sounds interesting. And then Interdependence Day, reimagining community care after disaster. Nice. Not sponsored. Nothing that comes out of my mouth is sponsored. I'm just simply curious. So let's watch a bit of this before we move on to how Greta is going to Gaza, which I'm really worried about because she is one powerhouse of a 22-year-old. I strive to be like Greta, but it does take a lot of bravery. So we're going to watch a bit of the gaming. Which one was it? The Gaming Takes on Climate Change seminar or workshop, whatever it's called. And then we'll end off with Greta. I'm sure you've heard of it, but Greta is going to Palestine to raise awareness of the issues in Gaza. So we'll watch a bit of this and then we'll watch a news clip on what Greta is doing and then kind of close off from there. So hopefully you've liked the live stream so far. I've loved it. So let's watch this. Let's watch. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. Hopefully I don't get copy striked. I just want to support. Okay, let's see. Okay. Is it playing? I can't hear anything.
And for us by the people who are responsible for it every single day.
Inaction is an active choice. Like doing nothing is doing something.
Taking action is an antidote to despair.
We say I am fighting for something I believe in.
But the time is now. We have to step up.
We can't sit this one out.
We have to collaborate. We have to work together.
It's time to get to know people who might feel like unlikely allies.
Nature favors bravery, always. So I want to encourage you to be brave.
Trying to navigate how I can best use that platform to create real change.
In the fight against climate crisis, our best weapon is our people.
We have to be really intentional about the stories we tell.
The worlds that we create on screen should be the worlds that we want to see off screen.
It doesn't have to be a climate change story. Just weave it in naturally into every single story.
The resistance movement has to be sexy. We have to figure out ways to find joy inside of struggle.
We are able to link arms around these issues and work towards real solutions.
They're going to take that positivity and they're going to take that hope and they're going to share that with their friends and their family. But first, it's got to be entertaining.
Entertainment shifts culture and culture shifts society.
What kind of society do we want to live in the future?
The reality we think we live in is mostly just a story we tell ourselves.
Because stories not only change the world, they shape it.
Everybody is coming together and...
We need you now.
Hollywood is about imagination.
Not just ideas, it's also action.
Everybody's in this together. Be optimistic.
Let's go change the world, guys. Let's do it. This is proof of what can happen when we work together.
Change is inevitable. We decide which changes we are going to be in.
Me'iha nehinkam. Hello, relatives.
Hello and greetings, esteemed guests and fellow environmentalists.
It's truly an immense honor to stand before you today at this Hollywood Climate Summit,
where we've all come together with a shared vision for our Mother Earth.
To save our planet and create a brighter future for the generations to come. We stand here today on Tovangad, the lands of the Tongva, the indigenous peoples. Here in this magical place called Hollywood, once stood our villages of Kawengna, Maungna, and Yanga.
It was on these very mountain ranges that the first barn was transformed into a movie studio, marking the beginning of a golden age of cinema that swept across the world for over a century. These movies depicted stories of romance, suspense, and war, but also unfortunately included numerous derogatory stereotypes of the Native American or Indian.
In the years since colonization and the prevailing influence of foreign culture, much of our own culture has been forgotten.
Our language, songs, dances, and traditional methods of hunting and harvesting these lands
that are so deeply imbued with the wisdom of our ancestors. But we remain working to recall our past and restore a time when we lived in harmony with the land we call home.
You no doubt have heard that California has seen an unprecedented number of wildfires in the recent years. These wildfires are but one of the many catastrophic results of climate change.
And can be mitigated by utilizing indigenous land stewardship and culture.
Here, with the collaborative efforts of our communities and the governing agencies of the state,
we have made substantial progress, but still require more support to truly make an impact.
We have several indigenous-led organizations that directly support our efforts towards redirecting climate change.
You can learn about and directly donate to
the Gabrielino Tongva Springs Foundation,
the Tongva Tarahapahava Conservancy,
a Hachiman Tongva Land Conservancy, or Sacred Places Institute for Indigenous Peoples. We ask that you help us in preserving our waters and returning the land to its rightful stewards, to nurture and cultivate the flora and fauna that we cherish so deeply.
Please listen to our stories, prayers, and songs and help us spread our message.
Pay homage to the cultural bearers and caretakers of this land who pass down their wisdom and knowledge
from generation
to generation. When you look upon us, we hope that you recognize us as more than just natives,
but as storytellers, singers, weavers,
fire chiefs, paddlers, poets, filmmakers,
painters, teachers, artists,
and above all,
we are the land.
Hi, everyone. How are you doing today? Woo! Day 2. Let's go. My name is Elle Weinstein. My pronouns are she, her, and I am a co-founder of the Hollywood Climate Summit. So thank you. Thanks. Thank you for being here. I'm also the content lead at the Sustainable Entertainment Alliance, and I'm so excited to have you all here today. I would like to start off by saying I'd like to thank the Academy. It's very rare that you get the opportunity to say that in an appropriate situation, but they really are incredible. This is our 3rd year partnering with them, and we've always appreciated their amazing support and the team that makes all of this happen. So I would like to thank them. I would also love to thank our sponsors.
Want to see a story about climate change?
Oh, no. No.
We get it. We really do. Climate change is scary. It can make us feel, well, a little anxious.
I'm just trying to articulate the science. I know, but it's like so stressful.
And we turn to movies and TV to escape. But what if we changed the question? Want to see a great story? Stories can engage with the climate, even as they entertain.
All right, but only because I like Earth.
Whether they are dramatic.
What if the world was to get slightly warmer?
So if that happens,
we lose.
Or funny.
Happy Earth Day, everyone. I'm Recyclops. Did you know that an old milk carton can be sawed in half and used as a planter?
She's worried about the end of the planet. She's gotten the message that we're doomed.
Or stories of courage.
Magical. She'd say everything you want to dream away. We are legends every day.
It doesn't feel right to do nothing.
You can break something in 2 seconds, but it can take forever to fix it. That's why we have to be careful on this earth.
Stories about protecting what you love.
Come with me.
Dubai Air is owned by a horrible company, one that has turned the southern coast of Nigeria into a hellish, fiery swamp. I can no longer wear their name on my chest.
How will you be remembered? There's someone who fought back.
Did you just proactively protect the environment?
Maybe.
Well, our theme is climate crisis meets extinction event, but in a fun way.
Okay.
Oh, it's breathtaking. Or a story of adventure.
Wakanda will no longer watch from the shadows. We must find a way to look after one another as if we were one single tribe.
Climate change is the story of our time, and it's being told right now in small moments and blockbuster events that are connecting with audiences worldwide.
Together we can change the world.
So, want to tell a great story?
Let's get it done.
Go to climateonscreen.org, where climate and great stories connect.
I have seen that video genuinely 800 times, and I still get chills every time about what is possible with our storytelling. And someone who we partner a lot with on that storytelling is the NRDC, so I'm very excited to introduce Katie Jacobs, who is the Director of Entertainment Partnerships, to introduce this next panel.
Hello. Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Final Boss, Gaming Takes on Climate Change. I'm Katie Jacobs. I'm NRDC's Director of Entertainment Partnerships and the founder of the NRDC Climate Storytelling Fellowship. For more than 50 years, NRDC has fought to protect our climate and public lands, to save endangered species and their habitats, and to work toward justice and equity for all. We also develop strategic partnerships that leverage the power of entertainment and storytelling to shift the cultural narrative around the climate crisis and show the path toward a better future. We are thrilled to bring you this panel today, produced by the Hollywood Climate Summit and NRDC's Rewrite the Future program, which supports environmental representation in entertainment. For decades, gaming has been an influential medium in shaping our culture and how we interact with the world. With over 3 billion players worldwide, video games have massive potential for reaching and mobilizing the public to address real-world issues like climate change. In collaboration with the Playing for the Planet Alliance, a United Nations Environment Program facilitated initiative, NRDC is partnering with the Hollywood Climate Summit to develop a games and climate storytelling resource to support environmental themes in game design and narrative, and to enrich players' experience with both the digital and natural worlds. So we're excited to dig into these topics today with our brilliant panelists, and we hope that this conversation and the report that we'll publish later this year can serve as an industry roadmap that game developers, studios, and creatives can follow to support culture shift work in the gaming industry that we and other organizations have been doing for several years in the film and television industry. So with that, I am thrilled to pass it over to our moderator, co-founder of the Hollywood Climate Summit, Heather Phipps, to kick off this conversation.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming out. Appreciate it. Good to see you. Yeah. Let's give it up for our panelists. I can't wait to tell you about them, and I also want to express gratitude to our partners, the NRDC Rewrite the Future program. They do such incredible work. I'm so moved by that video, as well as Ali said, and I think that the lens of this conversation is really thinking about that opportunity for storytelling in the context of video games. And I will say that video games are so interesting because they have different modalities of storytelling in ways that film and television don't. So with our incredible panel today, I'm really looking forward to getting into that. First, I'd like to introduce you. So sitting to my left is Ashley Birch. If you don't know Ashley, you absolutely should. She's voices several of my favorite video game characters, I have to say personally. Ashley is a producer, writer, and series regular on Apple TV's Mythic Quest, as well as the co-creator and showrunner of its spin-off, Side Quest. She starred in last year's South by Southwest feature We're All Gonna Die, which has secured distribution with Cinemark, and she previously starred in Disney Television's The Ghost and Molly McGee. Ashley won an Emmy for writing an episode of Cartoon Network's Adventure Time and is a BAFTA nominee for her lead performance in the video game version of Horizon Zero Dawn. And has voiced so many other incredible projects like Borderlands 2, Fortnite, so truly a profound voice in the gaming space. Thank you for joining us, Ashley.
Thanks for having me.
Marina Pizarros is a climate change planner, researcher, author, and creative technologist. Over the past 20 years, she has built environmental impact programs for government agencies, Fortune 500 companies, public schools, nonprofits, and everything in between. And I'm so excited to unpack the term creative technologist with you, Marina.
Let's get it.
And Carla Reyes is the founder and studio director at Anima Interactive. She's a Forbes 30 Under 30 fellow and a World Economic Forum global shaper with diverse experience in the media and gaming industries. She is also involved in environmental and social impact initiatives in the entertainment sector. She's a driving force at Code Coven, the first global games industry accelerator where she has raised substantial funding and established crucial partnerships. And she also partnered with us last year on the Hollywood Climate Summit for the Game Jam, which if you got to experience the prototypes playing last year and you saw the video at the beginning of the Solar Punk Game Jam that's happening now. So let's talk about that. But I want to open it up with a question for all of you to respond to, which is first, I'd love to just get your individual take on what's the scale and importance of engaging the gaming community? Who is drawn to games and why? And why do you think that that community could be uniquely activated around the issue of climate change?
Who's first?
I know this. Sure, I'm happy to get started because I think that that's like part of the ethos of the studio that I'm trying to build as well. Because as Heather already mentioned, there are over 3 billion gamers globally. So video games are the largest entertainment medium in the world, and this is something that some people aren't necessarily aware of. And it's an immensely untapped tool, an opportunity for game developers, and not just game developers, but truly like anybody across any sector to be involved. And we'll dig into that probably a little bit more, but there really is this untapped opportunity to drive real world social change. So when you think about gamers, there are people who are playing on their mobile phones, right? If you are opening up your New York Times games, like you are a gamer, right? And I think sometimes people don't necessarily identify with gamer because there might be the stereotypical perception around like, oh, I only play Grand Theft Auto or something, right? So there are so many different definitions of what a gamer is or what a gamer looks like, and I think that's something that is an evolving conversation. But yeah, I think everybody is invited to the table when we're talking about that. And one of the things with games specifically that I really value is that the community and the audiences can actually participate in the development of games, right? Because they're not finite experiences. Often games are live or can make updates. And so game developers are really now focused on community building and listening to their audiences. And audiences can actually shape some of the content that is being created and updated in video games. So that's one of the more powerful pieces, I think.
Yeah, I can pick up on that too. What I think is unique and what gets me really excited is when you, unlike sports or film, where you're primarily ingesting what's being delivered to you, with games, you are part of you're really driving what's happening in that game. You're in control of your experience, and you expect that when you play, you're going to be changing the outcomes. And you put your own experience and what you need to learn and what you need to vanquish, right? It's right in there. It's what you're doing. It's why you play, is to gain mastery, learn new skills, feel a sense of accomplishment. And that's exactly what we need with climate change. We need people to be at the center of their own experience, feeling like they're empowered to do things and understanding where their levers are, where they can actually drive change.
That was what I was going to say. Haha. Nowhere near as articulately. Yeah, I think that is the sort of unique thing about games as a medium, is that by virtue of the fact that it is a game, you are participating in the storytelling. And I think that has the possibility to have more impact or more lasting impact on the player than potentially a more inactive medium like TV or film, which is not to dismiss their impact, but there is a very specific experience when you're engaging with a game as a player that creates opportunities for conversations like this that would have a different impact than other forms of media.
Absolutely. And Marina, you recently, well, not super recently, but your research is at the intersection of gaming and climate. You led a research initiative with Yale and Unity that examined the question of what gamers feel about climate change. Could you share some of the insights that you learned from that study?
Yeah, and I realized that it would have been really relevant for me to mention to this group and in my bio that I was the head of climate and sustainability for Unity Technologies, the game engine, which is how I've gotten to some of this, so there we go. Doing it now. So this project with Yale came out of my own reality as a gamer, where I would play, and I feel like so many people have this perception of gamers that it's like some like incel teenage boy like slumped over his console like playing a first-person shooter for days on end, which is definitely part of the beautiful giant tent of gaming for sure, but it's not all of it. And so I thought, how do we do some myth busting around this? So we partnered with Yale's Center for Climate Change Communications and did a Gen Pop survey, so all of the general U.S. population, and looked at what the differences were between people who identified as gamers and those who did not. And there was a bunch of really interesting results that came out of that, most of which I can't remember right now, so which is why I also have a little piece of paper with me. I wanted to pull out 3 of them because I think it's relevant for you folks here. And the first one is that players, people who identified as game players versus Gen Pop, felt like they were more worried about climate change, they were more interested in getting information about climate change, and they were sort of more educated about it. The second thing that was a difference that I thought was really exciting was that they were more hopeful. And this I'm still kind of trying to figure out why that is, but we asked gamers, or we asked everyone in the survey, do you think that we will be able to solve this in your lifetime? What are going to be solutions? And gamers were actually more hopeful. I kind of think that it might be because of what we mentioned. We all talked about gamers being like having a real sense of agency over a large part of their experience, which is when they play. And then the third thing that was really exciting to me was that gamers also showed more willingness to act. So we asked everyone a whole bunch of questions. Would you be willing to, donate money, spend time doing something, change your behavior, change your consumerism, take direct action? And gamers were more likely to say that they would be willing to do that. Obviously the next level of the study is to go back and see whether or not they actually do that, but at least gamers felt like they would be more into doing that. So, and actually speaking of that, I just talked to our collaborators at Yale the other day, and we're looking to do a next iteration of this research, and I would like to actually go back and see whether or not people's anticipated what they think they'll do matches what they actually do. So come chat with me sometime about that, because I'm very interested in it. And I guess since I have the mic, I'll just keep going for a minute. I think the thing that is really relevant to folks here is, like that audience or those folks are already like primed, they're interested in content, and so we don't have to like tiptoe around and like sideways it in. We can just like get out there and tell the stories and show the futures that we want, and all the things that the awesome video expressed more awesomely. Carla and I were like, oh my God, they have to stop playing this video. It's all the things we wanted to say. But those features of, hope and positive stories are something that I think that all of you could be able to provide.
Thank you for saying that. It's so important for people to know. We say audiences, but gamers, audiences, players are hungry for this. They're ready, and it will be well received. It's not something that we have to tiptoe around, as you said, or break the ice. And I think there are some incredible examples we'll get into that have already done that. Carla.
Alrighty. Very interesting for sure to listen. I will listen to the rest of this when I have some downtime, but just because I'm coming to a close with this live stream, it is coming to be 6:30 right now. It's going to be 6:30 right now. I'm going to move on to Greta Thunberg on Gaza. I just want to say before I move on though that I have always wanted to be a gamer, but I've always been very anxious about time, about expectations, about reaching my goals, about life in general. I've always been someone that's prone to want to have success, to have abilities, to have money, to have this American dream, and it's consumed me my entire life to the point where I never felt like I could relax and play a game. When I was a kid, I didn't play games. When I was a teen, I didn't play games. When I was an adult, now I have never played games. I've never allowed myself to have fun. So one of the things that I told myself is yes, you can continue to work, you can continue to apply to jobs and go to interviews, do content, do these live streams, and still play games. So I'm gonna be gaming Wednesdays and Sundays. I am someone that really wants to be consistent on live streaming, on content creation, on the things that I care about. So hopefully you tune in and watch me play games if that's of interest. I don't really know why people watch others play games, but I'm just going to be online. So if you want to jump on, that'll be happening during the nights, like 6:30, 7:30 Central Time. And just let myself have some fun. I think it's important to balance out the seriousness and chaos and the overwhelm that we can feel in the midst of all the problems. Self-care is definitely needed. So I've always been someone that's highly online. So if I can just like convert my time online to something that is like fun and I can have agency over, I think gaming is the answer for me. So I really like Sailor Moon. I like the Brad's games, like the Y2K old games. Nothing too serious. What else have I been looking into? Winx, Sailor Moon I've mentioned. Dress to Impress. I want to play that game. And then there's another one, Nikki something. It's like a very immersive game that I see everyone playing. What's it called? Nikki game? Infinity Nikki. That's what I've been seeing. It has a lot of like fashion bits here and there. You can dress her up and it's very fairy core, so I like that. Probably gonna buy that game soon. And yeah, that's kind of what I'm up to for hobbies. I'll be live streaming my first gaming session this Sunday. Hopefully I have the PC up and running by that time and I know what I'm doing and have the games on there. But if I don't figure it out by Sunday, I'll for sure do it by this upcoming Wednesday for sure. But to move on, I will show y'all now what is happening with Greta. I'm sure you guys have heard what's happening, but I just want to watch this video or some of the video and then jump off. Just watch this one. There's so many tabs open. What the heck? Okay, this. I'm done with that. And go here.
Always The result? Children dying of hunger and more than 90% of the population.
Let me start it over.
In the blue expanse of the Mediterranean, a ship named Madeleine sails towards Gaza. It carries no weapons, only food, medicine, and defiance. Launched by the Freedom Flotilla Coalition, Madeleine is headed for a land under siege as Israel continues to enforce a near total blockade on aid to Gaza. The result? Children dying of hunger and more than 90% of the population facing catastrophic food shortages. The ship is named after Gaza's most recognized fisherwoman, a symbol of survival, a tribute to resistance. Madeleine is charting a journey of 2,000 kilometers, every one of them shadowed by risk.
And no matter how dangerous this mission is, it is nowhere near as dangerous as the silence of the entire world in the face of a live-stream genocide.
On board are activists including Greta Thunberg and Yasemin Ajar.
A suicide mission.
As they sail past the coast of Crete, we connect with them. They know they may be intercepted, diverted, or detained at any moment. But still, they go. From the Mediterranean Sea, Greta Thunberg and Yasemin Ajar talk to Al Jazeera. Greta Thunberg, thank you so much for talking to Al Jazeera. I think anyone watching the carnage in Gaza can probably understand your motivation for wanting to help a people that UN officials say Israel is exposing to forced starvation. But why did you feel it was vital for you not only to support the Madeleine, but to be on board it?
It's just, if you have any sense of humanity left, then there is no option but to stand with Palestine and to do everything you can. And for some reason, I have a platform that I can use. And if my presence on this boat can contribute in any way to showing solidarity with Palestinians, then I will do that.
Are you hopeful that the presence of prominent figures like yourself, like the Irish actor Liam Cunningham, this time on this boat, might help increase the Madeline's chances of actually reaching Gaza?
That we don't know. But what we do know is that I and the others on board will continue doing everything we can, both in the short term and in the long term, to fight for justice and to demand an end to Israel's war crimes.
Given what happened to previous boats, do you in your heart feel you really will make it to Gaza? What are the chances, do you feel?
The uncertainties are very big, of course, and we have made many risk assessments trying to judge the situation, and we are preparing for different scenarios to respond in a non-violent way to maximize our safety. But we are aiming to sail to Gaza. That is what we do know at this point.
What will it mean for the world if this boat is either attacked by drones, as the Conscience was, or raided by Israeli commandos, as the Mavi Marmara was?
Yeah, we have made it very clear from the beginning that we are 12 peaceful volunteers who are not carrying weapons. We are carrying humanitarian aid. We will not be responding in any violent way. We are sailing on international waters, which is our right to do. So again, if someone, IOF or allies with Israel, decides to attack us, then it is just another example of the disrespect of international law and human rights.
Will you still consider this mission a success, even if you don't make it to Gaza?
The point, at least behind my participation here personally, is that I feel like no matter what odds we are facing, we have to keep trying. And whatever happens, we will be able to see that we tried our best. We tried every method we had at hands. And we will continue to do so in whatever shape or form, whether we make it to Gaza and will be able to distribute the humanitarian aid, or if we are stopped on the way. But we must also remember that we do not only need humanitarian aid to come into Gaza, we do not only need a ceasefire, we need an end to the occupation.
I'm not sure how closely you're able to follow social media these days, but
Not at all.
US Senator, not surprising, but US Senator Lindsey Graham posted on X a comment which has been widely seen as a threat against you and the aid mission, saying, "Hope Greta and her friends can swim." Does it shock you that this sort of devaluation of your life and the lives of the people with you on that boat can come from a senior figure of the US government, of the Congress?
Unfortunately, it does not surprise me. The reason why we have ended up in the situation we are is because of the systematic dehumanization of Palestinians and demonization of everyone who expressed solidarity. So that does not surprise me at all. Unfortunately, it does say a lot about their approaches, that they, well, these elected officials who are complicit in genocide spend their time mocking people who are at least trying to do something rather than ending their complicity. Says everything you need to know about them.
What do you say back to him, Greta?
For me, it's not worth my time responding to that. There are so many similar comments every day, and it's just, why should I care?
How confident are you as an EU citizen that should this boat come under attack, that the EU, that EU navies will be there to assist you, given what happened to the previous ship, the Conscience?
Yeah. Unfortunately, not too confident.
What does bringing aid to Gaza mean for addressing the needs of people there whom dozens of UN special rapporteurs and experts, international human rights groups say are facing a genocide?
Yeah, of course, it is very, very clear that humanitarian aid desperately needs to come into Gaza, and that the blockade has to end. But as I said earlier, we do not only need short-term humanitarian aid, we need a long-term end to the occupation, a permanent ceasefire, and justice and freedom for all Palestinians. So the humanitarian aid is, of course, a symbolic amount, as we cannot fit too much on this boat. But it is also an attempt to once again try to break the siege and open up a humanitarian corridor. And of course, a symbolic act of solidarity with Palestinians.
We know the last boat, the Conscience, came under a drone attack. The Mavi Marmara was raided by Israeli commandos, a raid that killed 10 people. Is any part of you afraid, Greta?
What I'm afraid of is the deadly silence of the world and the passivity that so many people are showing right now when they know very much what is going on, that they do not put pressure on their own governments, even though that they know that they are very much complicit. That is what scares me the most.
You're very well known for your efforts to urge the world to protect the environment. Are you on the Madeleine today as a climate activist or simply as a human being who cares about the lives of others?
I would say the latter. Stepping up and showing solidarity with Palestine is something that everyone must do, no matter your background, no matter where you are from. And again, I'm a climate justice activist because I care about justice, because I care about human and planetary well-being. It should be self-evident why we should all act in all our power to stand in solidarity with Palestine. The question should not be, why do you care about Palestine? The question should be, why on earth are you not caring? Why are you not outraged?
So clearly you see a link between environmental activism and the mission that you're on, given that environmental and climate change often harms vulnerable communities. And what we see in Gaza is a very vulnerable community being harmed.
Yeah, of course. There are many direct links that show how ecocide and environmental destruction is a systematic method of war and used to oppress people. But also, again, it should be much simpler than that. It should just be, if you care about humans, if you care about justice, then you should care both about climate justice and justice for Palestine.
And a final question, Greta. We know that the Madeleine has been facing a lot of hurdles and challenges. We know it's been tracked by drones. What do you feel, how do you feel about the position that European governments have taken, Western governments, the US has taken towards this aid mission? Have they done their moral and legal responsibility in your eyes?
Nowhere near enough, but also we must remember that this mission is not about us. This mission is not about Madeleine and the passengers on board, the crew, the volunteers on board. This mission is about Palestine and the genocide and the occupation that is ongoing. And in that question, it is shameful every day how the world keeps showing its betrayal towards Palestinians.
If you do make it to Gaza, what do you plan to do? Have you thought about that scenario, as unlikely as it may seem to many people?
Yeah, then we will distribute humanitarian aid. That is the main goal.
Okay, thank you very much, Greta Thunberg, for talking to Al Jazeera.
Thank you.
Yasamin Ajar.
It is 6:32 p.m. Central Time. Highly recommend following along with Freedom Flotilla to stay updated. I wish everyone safety and a good journey towards Palestine. It's definitely not going to be easy. But yeah, hopefully you liked the live stream. There's a lot going on. But we carry on. We keep moving. We keep hoping, and we keep taking action. So hopefully you learned something. Hopefully we keep moving forward, and I'll see you Sunday for some gaming, and then more news on Tuesday. But yeah, hoping that you have a lovely, lovely Thursday and a lovely, lovely week. It's Friday tomorrow, but until then, I'll see you in the next live stream. Peace and love. Elle. Bye.